All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about something absolutely fundamental to our existence, something that's both the very gateway to experiencing life and, at the same time, the engine of our deepest struggles. We are talking about consciousness. I mean, just think about that for a second. What is the one thing that lets you experience, well, anything? See, hear, feel, even think about what I'm saying right now. And what if I told you that exact same thing was also the primary architect of all your stress and dissatisfaction? That's the wild paradox we're going to unpack today. So, to get to the heart of this, we need to look at a specific term from the ancient Pali texts, Viññāna. Now, we often translate this as consciousness, but its original meaning is way more active, more dynamic. See, it's not a thing you have, it's something you do. And the source texts are super clear about this. This quote from the Mahavijaya Sutta basically says it all. The name comes from what it does. The word itself comes from a verb that means to cognize or to know. So Viññāna is literally the act of knowing. It's a verb, not a noun.
Okay, so if consciousness is an action, what exactly is it doing? What does it cognize? Well, the texts bring it down to something incredibly simple and fundamental.
At its most basic, bare-bones level, Viññāna is just the part of us that registers the raw feeling of an experience. Is this pleasant? Is this painful? Or is it just neutral? That's it. That's its foundational job. The very first raw layer of knowing anything. Right, so we know what it does. It just tells the difference between pleasant, painful, and neutral. But how does it do it? Well, the texts lay out 6 very distinct channels that this knowing flows through. And here they are. You've got a specific type of Viññāna for each of your 5 physical senses. And then there's the 6th one, the big one, mind consciousness. That's the one that knows thoughts, ideas, memories, all the internal stuff. Each one is its own unique stream of awareness. Now, this is a game changer. Consciousness isn't some constant, solid thing sitting inside your head. It's a series of events. It only pops into existence when a sense organ, like your eye, makes contact with a sense object, like the color on the screen. In that exact moment of meeting, poof, eye consciousness happens. It's a process, not a soul. And this is where the story really takes a sharp turn, because this seemingly innocent little process of knowing is pointed to as a critical link in the chain that creates what the text called dukkha, which we can think of as suffering, stress, or just that deep sense of unsatisfactoriness. I mean, just listen to that. That is a heavy statement. Whatever suffering arises, all of it is conditioned by consciousness. Now, this isn't saying consciousness is suffering. It's saying it's an absolutely essential ingredient. You know, you can't have suffering without it. The whole structure of dissatisfaction needs it to get built. We can see its job really clearly in the famous chain of dependent origination. Viññāna here is the crucial link, the bridge that connects our past conditioning, our habits and mental formations, or sankhara, to our present reality, our current mind and body experience, or namarupa. It literally carries the baggage of the past right into this very moment. The texts use this really powerful metaphor for it, a great river. Just like a river's current is made up of endless drops of water, one flowing right into the next, our experience is this constant stream of cause and effect. And Viññāna is the current, just sweeping us along from one moment to the next, usually without us even noticing. Okay, now, just when you think you have it figured out, past habits create consciousness, which creates our present experience, the texts throw in this fascinating twist. It is not a one-way street. So, to really get this, we can look at a classic dialogue in the Mahaniddana Sutta. It starts with a question: what's the condition for our current experience, for our mind and body? And the answer is pretty much what we just talked about. Viññāna, consciousness, is the condition. It's the spark that lights up our world right now. Simple enough. But then comes the brilliant follow-up, the real mind-bender. Okay, so what conditions consciousness itself? If it's not some permanent thing, where does it come from? And here's the jaw-dropping answer. Our current mind and body is the condition for consciousness. They depend on each other. They rise up together, moment by moment. You literally cannot have one without the other. Think about what this means. Viññāna isn't just a neutral camera filming reality. It is actively being shaped by the very reality it's helping to create.
our thoughts, our feelings, our physical body, that's the very ground that consciousness needs to even stand on. They're locked together in this constant, inseparable, moment-to-moment feedback loop. So if we're caught in this incredibly powerful loop, what's the escape hatch? Well, the texts don't say to destroy consciousness. Not at all. They say the key is to change our relationship to it through really careful, honest observation.
Here's the core issue. The problem isn't consciousness itself. It's that we misunderstand it. We grab onto these fleeting moments of knowing, and we build this idea of a solid, permanent me out of them. The solution? It's to just watch it, to see it for what it is, an impersonal, conditioned process that's always coming and going, like clouds in the sky. And this takes a really radical shift in how we see things. It means letting go of the desperate craving for pleasant experiences. It means seeing, with our own eyes, that every single moment of knowing is temporary, or anicca. And because of that, clinging to it is always going to be stressful, or dukkha. And the ultimate insight, it is not self. It's not you, anatta. When we stop fueling that fire of desire and clinging, the whole feedback loop gets cut off, and the result is profound. When the conditions for this grasping consciousness stop, the entire chain reaction just unravels. The entire mass of suffering collapses, not because consciousness is gone, but because we've stopped feeding the process that keeps it all going. And please, if you take one thing away, let it be this. The goal is not to become unconscious or to go blank. It's about achieving a state of such radical clarity, of seeing the process so thoroughly that you just aren't tricked by it anymore. You're no longer swept away by that river's current. It's freedom through insight. So I'll just leave you with this to think about. If that entire stream of sights, sounds, feelings, and thoughts that you've always called me is actually just an impersonal, conditioned process, if Viññāna isn't who you are, but just something that's happening, what does that change? What really changes?